Hello and welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, joined by Logan Glaser once again of RealTime Fantasy Sports. Logan, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
So, Logan, it's Tuesday. It means it's time for our waiver wire video. We do this every week. We give you three of our favorite pickups, also a streaming defense. We kind of were talking about this before we came on. Unfortunately, it's a tough week out there on the waiver wire.
Oh, it sure is. Yeah, there's not a lot of good options out there. We also have 6 teams on a bye this week. I think it's going to be a kind of a rough week for a couple fantasy owners.
I agree. There is 6 teams on a bye. We need to mention that. And there's some marquee players that are off this week. We have the Ravens, Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants. So you're talking some big name players: Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Saquon
Diggs.
Barkley, Diggs. Man, it's
You can
tough.
include Jefferson in there, even though he
Yep.
hasn't played in a couple weeks. But yeah,
And this is a crucial week of games, too. It's week 13. So that means a lot of teams are in kind of a do or die situation. So hopefully you're not hurt too bad by these bye weeks, but I'm worried it's going to be the case for some of these owners, like you mentioned.
yep, for sure. And yeah, we got majority of our leagues start playoff week 15, so they've got 2 weeks making that final push. We do have commissioner leagues though that have already started their playoffs. I've actually talked to a couple,
Oh,
including
really?
back next week. Yeah, so commission leagues have larger leagues. So these are
Yeah,
leagues that
I
have
gotcha.
60 plus teams. So definitely something to keep in mind for these waiver
Some
pickups this
some
week.
leagues like to do like a 2 week championship playoff as well, like
Yeah.
2 weeks for the championship games, so it's not decided in one. So there's definitely different formats, different ways to do it, but it's interesting that some leagues have already started. So good luck this week if you're in the playoffs and you got players on a bye. That's not good. Oh,
Yep.
well. All right. Let's get into this. So we're going to give you three of our favorite players in a streaming defense. So, Logan, I'll let you go first. Who's your first pickup for the week?
Yeah, first player I'm going to be looking at for the waiver wire is Samaje Perine. So he's 38% owned, so not that heavily owned. He was actually drafted in a majority of leagues. His roster percentage has just gone down throughout the season with that, but he's really kind of established that number running back 2 role in Denver. I think McLaughlin only had 2 carries last week. McLaughlin only has 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games. It's been Perine's number 2 backfield behind Javonte Williams with that. He's had back-to-back games of 13 plus fantasy points. So that's very encouraging. And he's got a great upcoming schedule against Houston and the Chargers. So I really like his upcoming schedule. So with not a lot of options out there, I don't mind going with Perine and even having him as a running back 3 or so for your team's roster.
Yeah, this week, unfortunately, you're going to play backups at your maybe your flex spot or running back number 2 because guys are off, and getting guys that are going to get volume, even if they don't start, is not a bad move. So I like the Pirine pickup for sure. My first pickup is another guy that I think was drafted in most leagues, but did get dropped in some, and that's Pat Freiermuth. So he's owned in 53.7% of leagues on our site, so he's available in almost half. He finally came alive last week. I guess they just needed Matt Canada to get fired, and that happened. And then Freiermuth had 9 catches for 120 yards on 11 targets. He hadn't done anything near that, so I guess Canada getting canned was a good thing for Freiermuth in the entire passing game. Maybe this is going to be a trend for Freiermuth going forward. He definitely was heavily targeted, and if he's out there and you're looking for tight end help, I think he's a must grab, and he's my top pickup for the week if he's available in your leagues. All right, Logan, who's your next pickup?
Yeah, next pickup is going to be Curtis Samuel. He's 49% owned, and he has just a high potential with him. He also has a very low floor with that. But last week, or on Thanksgiving, he had 9 receptions, 100 yards. He had 12 targets. Concern with him is he only has 2 touchdowns on the season, but he has been getting a lot of targets. He has several games where he's had over 7 targets. So they're looking at him. The Commanders playing that high offense with that. So I'm fine taking a chance on Curtis Samuel as a bench player.
And he was really good early in the season. He kind of got hurt, and then he faded
Was.
for a few weeks.
It seems like that's the case with him the last couple of seasons where
It's
he
true.
has some really good games and it makes you look, well, maybe I should take a chance on him. And then he has a couple duds after that. But with that high potential, it's definitely worth to have him as a stash on your roster.
My next pickup is a receiver as well, and that's Greg Dortch with the Arizona Cardinals. He's owned in just 2% of leagues on our site, And the return of Kyler Murray has been great for him. It's been a real spark for Dortch. He scored his first touchdown of the season last week. He has been targeted 17 times his last 2 games. Dortch, I think, is worth grabbing as long as Kyler Murray's starting because he looks his way a lot. And the Cardinals play behind. They like to throw the ball. So I think Dortch could be a good pickup going forward for the rest of the way and be a fantasy factor.
Yeah, he had one of my favorite celebrations after a touchdown this week. So Dortch is, I believe, 5'7" for his height, and after he did it too small to the
Oh, I didn't see
guy
that.
that was defending him, and he was like 6 foot, and they were down 30 at the time.
Oh man, good work. I like the Zay Flowers celebration. I like the one, not the
Yeah,
flower one that Lamar Jackson rolls his eyes at,
yeah,
but
and I'm not sure why little
the
Jackson didn't like it.
soccer
I thought it
one.
was hilarious.
Yeah, the soccer one was good. Did you see that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I liked for sure. Good job, Zay. He's another short receiver, so maybe kind of like Dortch. All right, who's your next pickup, Logan?
Yeah, third one is going to be Jonathan Mingo, and this is really just a talking point with him, and he gets a lot of targets in that offense. Thielen has kind of cooled down, but he just needs to get some receptions, and if he does get that, then he can get rolling a little bit. 14% owned. There's one of the highlight reels on Twitter of him like jumping out of bounds where he had been wide open. So his targets, so he's gone 4, 7, 6, 6 in this last couple of games, but for receptions, he only has 1, 3, 1, and 4. So he's below 50% on that reception target rate. But if he gets that going, Bryce Young is looking his way. So he does have value in that offense if he can just haul down some of these receptions.
I've had Mingo on my sleeper list the last few weeks. I feel like I just feel like he's ready for a breakout any game because of all those reasons you mentioned. It just
He's
seems
getting
like
looks. He's just not.
yeah.
It's not just being completed.
My last pickup is another receiver, and that's A.T. Perry with the New Orleans Saints. So they're really beat up at receiver. Both Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed got hurt last week. They're kind of up in the air for this week. If they both miss, Perry could be the number one receiver in that offense. He's not done a whole lot to date, but he did score a touchdown in week 10. He's a big, tall target with speed. Someone's going to have to catch passes in that offense this week if those guys miss the game. So I think Perry could be a good risk reward type pickup. He definitely has a ceiling for a big game in this offense if he ends up being the wide receiver number one. All right, Logan, give me your streaming defense for this week. So when I looked, you gave me your options, who you were going to pick, and I actually agree with your pick as the top pick of the week for a streamer. So I had to pick somebody else, but I'll let you go ahead and say who it is.
Yeah, my defense is going to be Atlanta. So they've have 25 points in the last 3 games, low owned, and they're playing the Jets this week. And basically, any off or defense that is playing the Jets, you want them. And you would have thought that at the beginning of the season. You thought that would have been one of the best offenses with Rodgers and just how injuries unfold and everything with that. But Miami defense had 18 points last week against the Jets, including that 99-yard interception. How about that play for
That was crazy. Never seen anything like that in my entire life.
It was announced that Tim Boyle will be starting again this week for the Jets. I don't know if that's the best play for them. I would almost just take the risk with Zach Wilson with it because he had 1 or 2 games that were okay. I just don't know if you're going to be getting that with Tim Boyle. But I'm going to go with Atlanta as my streaming defense.
I like that pick. And my pick is another reason, just like yours. It's because the team they're playing is terrible offensively. So I like the Chargers defense. They're 31.6% owned. They play the Patriots. So it's another offense. It's terrible. Bailey Zappi ended up going in that game last week, played better than Mac Jones. Mac Jones is just completely lost. And either way, I think there's going to be some turnovers in this game. That's been the Chargers' issue. They have not caused many turnovers, which is why their production has not been great this year, but they do have sacks, multiple sacks, 3 or 4 games. They scored 23 fantasy points in week 9 against that Jets team you just mentioned. So I think the potential's there. They've really underachieved this year, the Chargers. They were drafted in most leagues. They just have not panned out. So they're available in a lot of leagues. They have a great matchup this week. I'd go get them if you need a defense, maybe to replace the Ravens or Bills or Vikings even, who have been playing better defensively as well.
Yeah.
All right, Logan. That's our waiver wire video for this week. Appreciate you coming on as always and helping everybody figure out who to pick up for the week.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. It should be another good week of games.
Should be. Good luck to everybody out there too in your week 13 games. It's a huge week of games. I hope you have a lot of success in your games and navigating these waiver wires. This has been Jeff Paur with RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day.